Hello Internet, I'm HamsterBomb.
And I'm Timothy.
You guys are back for another Pokemon Collections video, and this is part 2 of going through the entire set of the TFG Groundbreakers, which was the second unreleased set. The second set, rather, it was unreleased. There was actually an additional unreleased set, so no confusion there. This is
the next part of the second unreleased set.
Right. Just check the last episode. We looked at the first half of these videos. The first half of these figures. I'm totally stumbling myself this year. There's 42 figures in a set of each of these TFGs. We also have 2 promos we're going to take a look at in the top corner over there. And for now, as we start going through these, if there are any that you have any questions about and you want to see more in depth, I do have other videos you can take a look at on my channel. Just go down to the playlist, check out TFG figures or figure review videos. I've got all this kind of stuff that is in there in more depth. But right now, we just want to look at complete sets because completing Groundbreakers is an undertaking. These are very rare, really nice figures that a lot of people want to collect. So the demand is super high, but the supply is extremely low. And we're going to get into more details, figure for figure, as we go through and just kind of take a look at these guys. So the first one here, I believe he's going to come off his base. If you mess with him too much, you can be careful there, is Noctowl. I think he was actually one of the earlier ones I was able to get my hands on, though he got a lot rarer as time went on. You can see a lot of these figures are not going to be on their accurate bases. I am not sure whose base he's supposed to.
Yeah, he's got wing attack on there.
It says wing attack. Would have fooled you, but that's not what Noctowl does. He's got like hypnosis moves in this game. But
well, I know he's got a gold move, whatever a gold move is.
As we found out from the game, what's it called? Pokemon Quest, or is that what it's called? No,
I don't know.
That's that Switch game. Duel. That's it. Pokemon Duel, the TFG version of this, is a mobile game. It basically means it has priority over everything, as we expected. But yeah, he's got some translucent parts in that gust that he's flapping up below him. I like how symmetrical he looks too. You know, he's like a
screw symmetry.
Screw symmetry. Well, how about
the more symmetrical they get, the less impressive they are.
All right. Well, then Kim probably really likes this Poliwag here.
Yes, I do.
Now, unfortunately, I think my Poliwag does have
Look at that face.
Some marks on him, which actually, you know, I think I had this Poliwag before I met you, Kim. So maybe you could actually do some wonders and clean him up for me. Kim's really good at taking poor figures that have been, look at how damaged the poor guy is. Who've been, you know, thrown around in bags of other toys and paint's been nicked and stuff like that.
I don't think you had him before you met me, but I think you had him before we were cleaning figures.
Yeah, it's probably before we really started cleaning stuff, so...
You've known me a lot longer than you think you do.
Yeah, have I known this Poliwag longer than I think I have? I'm not sure. But anyway, he's got some really cool clear plastic parts, too. Of course, they can't just make him stand up. He's got to be slipping on his back. Kyoto's got to go...
I see this Poliwag in my head. He's like slipping down a hallway, like he can't get his footing. He just keeps flopping and slipping and flopping.
Or the Mudkip figure from Next Quest is in the foreground.
Yes.
He did that. Now, Kyoto. This is probably the most simple figure I've ever seen them do.
Fattest Psyduck I've ever seen.
Now, I didn't mention, I think I got both of these guys at the same time, so they're...
pretty damaged.
Yeah, they're all kind of damaged. They're not that great looking, but it was...
really gentle.
It was because this is when I was... trying to collect Groundbreakers as cheaply as possible, which you're welcome, Kim. And
thank you for not spending all your money on toys.
I did not. But yeah, poor Psyduck didn't turn out too good. Him and Poliwag are about the same rarity. Nowadays, they might be a little easier to find, but not much. They're still pretty rare. So that's unfortunate. Raticate, however, as we mentioned in the last video, was actually released for a very short amount of time, but he was actually released. So
this is his actual base, then?
That is his actual base, yes. And those are his actual moves. And the figure itself, I mean, they made Raticate actually look, I think he looks kind of cool.
Hey, he looks cool.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't like him when he stands upright, more human-like. I want him to look more like a rat, and he looks kind of menacing and freaky in this, which I think is pretty good, because otherwise... it's just a big Rattata, and nobody really is going to care. So, a real obscure one for them to pick and do a good job on. Now,
I assume he's not on his base.
No, he's not on his base, and he's pretty big and bulky, so...
Get a hand behind him here.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah,
see what I did with Mewtwo, where I was like...
just in case he goes. So Slacking, very...
Oh, look, he's got his uvula sculpted in there. What the crap?
He even has a sculpted uvula. He, unfortunately, was another one that's kind of damaged, same seller, but he's much rarer than the other two. He's actually only standing by his fist. His back legs actually don't touch the ground. They might have...
They look like they're supposed to.
Yeah, they probably were supposed to, but I'm not sure what that was about, but it's just his fist. He's really cool, I think, that they picked a Pokemon like him. I mean, when do we see anything of the Slack-Off line anymore? Yeah, even back then, I didn't see anything of that line. Really cool. You know, thinking of him, it makes me wonder why we didn't get anything of the Ralts line. I kind of wished we got something, but... Oh, well, it's okay. Yeah, it's like I said, Slacking, pretty rare. Oh, my goodness. Speaking of rare, Kim doesn't want to touch this one. Oh, and she's causing problems doing it. Just be calm. You're all right. Just pretend it's a Next Quest one, and just don't drop them like the Next Quest ones. This is Smoochum. This was one of the final Pokemon in this set that I needed to collect, and for those of you out there who might be collecting Smoochum stuff, just forget it. It is so stupid rare. I've never ever seen another one ever. This one, I told you a little story last time about the favor I was doing for a person who drove the trucks with these figures after they were basically on their way to be destroyed, and he was able to get me some of these figures. This is one of them. So this is an extremely rare Groundbreaker. I only had 6 more that I needed. He was able to get me the final 6, so those, basically think of them as the hardest figures to get your hands on. This is one of the 6 hardest to get of Groundbreakers.
And it's a stupid Smoochum.
I kind of like the little heart it has on its head.
Oh, it's cute.
The flowers. It's a nice figure.
It's a nice figure.
I'm not a big fan of Smoochum. It's such a rare Pokemon, though. I mean, like, Smoochum is... Whatever, fine. If you don't care, I think that made me, like, hunting down that figure gave me a new appreciation for Smoochum. Unso, like this one. This is Kim's, probably, no, not your least favorite. One of your least favorite Pokemon.
Oh, it's not my least favorite.
For sure least favorite of Johto? Will we go there far?
I think so. I think it was.
Kim hates Snubble. But, yeah, I never disliked Snubble that much, but, and there it goes. But she caught it. A clear plastic underneath.
I was like, oh, they even molded.
Yeah, you can see clear plastic underneath, Kim. Yeah, yep, every time. Man, they go through such effort for these figures, it's crazy. The pink on it is very light, though it's not quite as light as it seems to be showing up on camera.
Yeah, it's almost white on camera. But...
Yeah, it's not white, but still...
This is actually a really detailed Snubble figure.
It is.
I have not seen a Snubble figure.
Yeah, I know.
Once
again, he's standing only on one foot.
It actually just looks like he has 2 legs.
There's a lot of flower. I like the fact that, like, since he's kind of running, I can kind of see how the skirt thing works for Snubble.
Yeah, I never really understood it. I thought it was just like one solid piece. Yeah, I never understood it.
Yeah, instead of it being like a flesh dress, it looks more like a bulldog, big skin flaps. Okay. It's all right. Just try and pick up by the spinner rack. That one's glued down. You don't need to freak out about that one. Here, let me show them how that worked. That whole thing came off back there. Okay, so Kim, could you hand me that back? This is the bottom of the base. These things all spin on these things. If you were curious how they worked, they basically just slide right in there. And then there is a locking system like so. That's it. Here you go.
Yay, I didn't break it.
She didn't break it. So this one is another one I believe that I got from that same seller that the slightly damaged looking one. See, it's the same marks. I never thought of trying to get them up, but maybe we might be able to do that.
Should be able to clean it up pretty easy. One of my favorite things for cleaning up figures right now is the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Like it.
Yeah, it's actually done wonders. Like, we picked up some Tomy figures and stuff in flea markets and gone, man, this poor thing. But it's what I needed, and we go home and clean it up like, wow, it actually looks pretty new. So we gotta try that with some of these, but regardless,
his body's not touching this, just
like
again.
3 legs, yeah. Though the cobweb he's on,
it's really cool looking.
Yeah, it's how did they? Like, I mean, it's mostly transparent.
The texture is
they
so
painted,
bizarre.
Yeah, and imagine the people in that meeting when they're deciding, hey, what do we do for Spinnerak's base? And someone's like, oh, we're gonna make a spider web.
I know it's a meeting. I think they just have a lot of people who are sketching out and designing and. Then they figure out from there.
I'm sure she doesn't want to touch this one either.
I don't.
This is unequal rarity of that Smoochum I was saying before, except maybe even worse. Spinda. What's so crazy about this Spinda figure? You might be thinking it. Yes, they actually made different spots for the figures.
As with all Spindas.
But
Let's make them rare.
The card game doesn't even do that. You know? But here, for these figures, I think now there's, since there's so few of these, we can't even find them. There's 4 confirmed different patterns on the heads so far. But there's, like I mentioned, there's so few.
So mean to your collectors.
Yeah, there's so few of them, we don't really know anymore. So, it'd be nice to know how many there really were. Like, maybe there's only 20 Spindas that exist, honestly. That's not an exaggeration if there's only... Yeah, the hoo-la-la. That's not an exaggeration to say there might only be 20 of them. They all might be individual and never got to be mass-produced and circulated, which could explain why we only have so few of them. Be very careful. This one, I can't even handle. He wants to fall off all the time. In fact, I would just pick him up if I were you. I would just take him right off that base, and she's not listed. Oh, God. He's going to fall, Kim. As you can see with Steelix here, which is one of the coolest figures, he, unfortunately suffers from, I guess we can call it like that Toro syndrome from the first video. Yeah, there you go. Just do yourself a favor.
I got him full circle almost.
He's leaning forward really far, and because of that, he tends to fall over. He's really cool, though. He's got, like, what Mewtwo had last time we saw with lots of little rocks all over. Can you come a little closer with him? There we go. With lots of little pebbles and rocks all over. Steelix, unfortunately, those of you who are already, like, eyeballing him, I'm sorry, he's really, really rare. In fact, I think he was the only one I ever saw. There might have been a couple others, but he's typically one of those that gets priced up really high. He's like on par with Metagross, with annoyingly hard to find. Though I like the airbrush, different colors they did for different sides of him as you're showing us, as you're moving around. Also, like where the rocks are, they cause like airbrushed shadows. They're not even real shadows. Those are airbrushed to try and get the scale right. You know, it's a lot of effort going into that, guys. So here, I'm going to put this back so you can set him down and be careful on that, even trying to do that. It's not easy. He's going to want to move. You got to get the circle just right. Yeah, most of the time I don't have this kind of issue with the figures, but yeah, we shake this table at all and he'll come down. Now this next one, a real popular one. Remember we mentioned in the last video, we got a Blastoise. In Next Quest, we had a Charizard. So a lot of people love completing the lines because in Groundbreakers, we also got a Venusaur. And honestly, of the 3, I kind of like Venusaur's sculpt the most.
I do like Venusaur.
Now, Charizard's got the really cool fire and everything, but the Venusaur, I don't know, it's so vertical. Is that the right word to say? Because, like, most all Venusaurs we see, he's, like, real flat.
Now, see, I don't like this because he looks more like what his new model looks, where his tree's taller in the middle. I like him when he's the flat toad, when it's just a flower.
Well, I can tell it's tall here because if you look at him head on or from above at all, it's just to give it those shadows. If it really was that low to him, it wouldn't look that good.
Right.
You can still come closer so we can see this. Can you?
Trying.
Yeah. But still, I really like all the paint that they did on the leaves and everything. There is also another version of him. This drives collectors crazy too.
I didn't know that.
Where I think his leaves were made with a transparent green plastic.
Of course.
Yeah, it could have been an early concept design for him.
That would be really
I don't know which came first, but all we know is they exist. We don't know which ones are rarer. We just know that there's very few Venusaurs.
This is the angriest Wartortle I've
ever seen. Wartortle. Wartortle's not that hard to get, but, I mean, he's still pretty hard to get your hands on.
I love his expression.
I'd put him as, like, Noctowl rarity. Noctowl, probably a little rarer than, like, the Spinarak.
Which is all rarer than Next Quest.
Oh, everything is rarer than Next Quest, yes. Like I was saying during the Next Quest videos, I think the most common figures, like the released ones of Groundbreakers, are rarer than the rarest figures of Next Quest.
I don't think Wartortle has Dragon Breath.
No, so he's on a Salamence base. Yeah, as I mentioned before, I had to mix these. I think that Wobbuffet's glued down, so you don't need to be so nervous about him. Wobbuffet, I believe I got from that same seller who, unfortunately, had some that came from a neglected home, a little lower. And poor guy's
He should clean up really easily, though.
I hope so. Yeah, we should bring some of these downstairs so we can clean them up. After we've moved here, it's been years since I've done my first video that you guys saw on my channel. If you've seen those, or where we go in more detail on these guys, it's been years since those, and these guys have basically been in a display case. I really liked I wanted to keep them in a nice display case. Finally got them presented well, and I guess because of that, it never occurred to me we gotta clean them. Yeah. Well, I never never saw them in that light, like that close up. I try and move them, but since they're in there, I don't need to dust them as much, I think is what I'm saying. So it's not like in my face how dirty some of them really were. Now, this is a crazy rare one, too. One of the final 6 figures that I needed to get from that one very nice man who helped me complete my set is the Xatu. Now, this one, come on, Kim. He needed his symmetry. That's what Xatu is.
That's what Xatu is.
He's
Xatu
a totem
is
pole.
Symmetry.
So, yep, that right there, you can see as Kim spinning it, that is Xatu's original base with his original attacks. That's really cool to see that. I don't know how many of these even exist where he's on his base, but I can tell you it's probably very, very few. Only from a totally complete set like the one that I was able to get my hands on, partially. But still, I think he's really cool. I mean, just the fact that I admire that one just out of pure rarity, and the fact that I've got the, the original base for it. Oh, dear. The bane of many Groundbreaker collectors' existences.
I mean, look at the thing. It makes sense.
Well, we had this discussion with Skarmory in Next Quest, where that itty-bitty little plastic basically damaged the few that existed, because Skarmory was a rare. Well, amplify that by like 1,000, because Zubat was an unreleased figure with the same problem. And so Zubat was incredibly hard to find. I couldn't even find one broken. That's how rare he was to begin with. This is a Zubat on his base with the sticker. So this is incredibly rare. One of the rarest Pokemon figures I've got. I know it's a Zubat. Though we do have, at the time, that was a near complete evolution. We had a Golbat come in the next set, so that's pretty cool. Golbat, not nearly as rare as this Zubat, but, oh, careful. One little drop from it. Kim's eyes just got so wide.
I'm so scared.
Yeah, you gotta be very careful. Here, you can relax on this next one here.
I can relax on
this one, okay.
This version of
this
red.
is,
I can do this.
Yes, this is just...
I can't relax after this, though.
Pretty unlike Kyoto, but they just did a color palette swap for Trainer Green. Even though Trainer Green, at the time, existed. It was the female version of Red, right? We all know
right.
Green is the girl. Why they just did it like this and not make a new figure was probably due to budgetary problems, because things really weren't working out. Trainer Green is pretty easy to get. It was one of those starter sets. And this one, Kim's already going for... Absolutely not. This is one of the most prized figures of Groundbreakers. I would say only second to Sabrina, who we're about to see. The Gym Leaders. Holy crap. People, as I mentioned with the next quest when we got to the Gym Leaders, people just love collecting Gym Leader figures, and they don't get really nice figures like this ever. And man, these are incredibly rare, so the demand is insane and the supply is so low. The supply for these guys is somewhere equal to, like I was mentioning with the Zubat and the Xatu and the Smoochum. They're basically non-existent. But you do find occasional ones. The only ones you find are not on their bases, and you might have not seen there. Mine are on their original bases, because I got these two from that... nice man who I mentioned earlier. So I'm super grateful for those, because these are the rarest figures I have for them. And technically, for the wallet, as far as the wallet's concerned, I didn't pay anything for them, technically. I helped a guy out. I made him a lot of money on his own collection to thank me he gave me the collection figures I was missing, which, I mean, technically, if you added it up, he gave me what could be $2,000 worth of figures.
Right.
For free. He paid for shipping. I mean, it was super nice. So, I don't want to talk about that forever, but anyway, this figure here kind of bothers me because I always thought it was fake. If you look at the face, this one, this version of, I forget what his name is on
Brendan?
this one. No, it shows the bottom. He's Brendan if he's blue, the bottom of the figure. He's Landon if he's red. I don't really get it. But anyway, so because this figure's face, he didn't have like the airbrush on him. I was wondering if he was fake, but the hands do. Same for Green. Green looks the same way.
Well, I think the people don't have as much as the airbrushing on them as the Pokemon do.
The gym leaders do. I can tell you the gym leaders do. The gym leaders fortunately look it. Here we go, Kim. You got to pick it up. She told me she was never going to pick this figure up in her life, and I'm going to make her do it right now. She's got to do it. This, as I reminded her earlier, is probably the most expensive figure in our house. Which is really saying something, because I've got...
It's really stupid that this is the most expensive figure in our house.
Well, you understand why, as I've been mentioning. Like, the demand's insane. One, Sabrina's a woman. I think that's got something to do with why Sabrina's more popular than Koga. So there's probably more collectors. But this is probably her only figure ever. They might be making some of those new ones. I mean, they were making some really nice gym leader figures like a couple years ago. Like, they made Brock and Misty and kind of stopped. You noticed that?
Yeah.
So, kind of ashamed they didn't get that far, because I would have liked a set. But still, now I'm like, hey, I got gym leaders on the TFG. These things are amazing. And there's one more thing about the gym leaders on their stickers. They have that mysterious blue line going around the success ring. We have no idea what that means. Even with Pokemon Duel being out, we have no idea what that means, because the trainer figures were basically taken out of the game.
Right.
Yeah, so we have no idea what that meant. That's lost to time. But still, it's a very detailed figure. I mean, Sabrina never got anything else. This is more just sheer value, because demand is absurd. Can you imagine people wanted Sabrina more than they wanted the Mewtwo? Because that's true. So anyway, number-wise, that is the last of the Groundbreakers figures, though, as you can see in the back, there were actually 2 more figures that were released. I don't have bases for them, and I didn't really want to bring over fake bases like these, just to make it a little easier on Kim to hold them, because they fall off real easy. Dialga and Palkia. Now, the thing is, to save time with their figures while they were making promos, because at this point, Kyoto was also being asked to do a lot of promotional stuff for the new, obviously, the 4th generation games which are coming out. They made, you know those bottle cap figures that are this exact size, but they stand on little bottle caps? Mm-hmm. They did the same thing for Gen 5, and I think they might have even done it for gens afterwards. These 2 figures we're looking at here were also released, identical figures on the bottle caps. In fact, I believe they might both be from bottle caps. I think my Palkia was, and I just kind of got rid of the bottle cap because I knew it was the identical figure. The hilarious thing is they're identical figures, but the price difference, for the crazy people who like to think that they're different, but they're really not, the price difference is ludicrous. It's like going from $4 to 100.
Does anybody else see that his head is
Yes, his head is transparent. I don't know if the bottle cap one has that as well, but I'm assuming they're identical because Kyoto really needed to save money, or Pokemon rather needed to save money. It goes in his tail too. Very nice. So actually, these figures, I think they're really. I'm gonna eventually stick them down onto bases, which does that increase their value? But anyway, I think they're really cool. So those were the only 2 promos that came out for Groundbreakers.
Groundbreakers!
Because once again, they were trying to advertise, help promote Sinnoh, though it's uncertain what exactly they were going to do, how they were going to be released for the new sets, because, as I mentioned, they never got to promoting these at all. Maybe what they were going to do is what they did for the first set, and have like a booster pack where you can see you're going to get a Dialga in it. You know, that's pretty cool, and it's going to come with a random Groundbreaker figure. my God, if those released, how much money that would cost. If that was out today, like, one of those boosters would probably run you around $1,000. I'm not kidding, if it really was out there. But unfortunately, it's not, and that's probably why these figures are so rare, and that's why they sit in a glass display case in my room. So I'm really glad to finally...
That's also why we're filming them for insurance
purposes. Well, I really want to share them, and I know I've made a series of videos with these guys, but not all together like this. So I wanted to make sure that you guys really got to see these things. A lot of people who were like, wow, I wish I could collect them, but at least if I just got to see a complete set, know what was out there, be like, okay, good. It's not impossible. I feel better about myself. Please take that little satisfaction you have and don't go try and collect them.
It's impossible.
There's so many. Now, I would say it's impossible, but hey, I mean, within reason, my Kabuto and Linoon aside, I've completed Groundbreakers, which is, I know...
By almost random chance, though, you got the most
chance.
expensive figures.
That's true, because that's Sabrina. In fact, I don't think I've ever, just pointing this out, I don't think I've ever seen a Sabrina on a base, on her own base, ever. And Sabrinas typically will run somewhat... Yep, that's it. Actually, just to prove that, do the same thing for Koga, just because. Just because. And just because it's that rare, most Sabrinas I've seen will run somewhere between $450 to $800.
That's insane.
And I've never seen one sell on its base. So I have no idea what mine's worth, but it was a gift to me for helping somebody get some college funds for his son. So I don't want to look at it like that. Though it makes me feel better that my collection is complete, and that is incredible. But unfortunately, moving on from here to the third set, I don't think it's actually possible to complete it, because I'm pretty sure some of the figures in the set, there's only one. It was a prototype, and it's missing. We don't know where it is. So unfortunately, the third set is incredibly hard to complete, though there's a lot more figures that are very easy to get your hands on, as opposed to Groundbreakers, which is mostly just really, really rare stuff. So we're going to take a look at those coming up next week, as I mentioned last time, and this time as well. You can take a look at all of the TFG figures I own by jumping to that playlist down in my channel below. You can find all the other figures linked that way. They all get much more time shown in them. Right now we're just trying to go through and see complete sets all together, even though I had to split them into two because these are alone half-hour videos. So sorry about going on for too long, but either way, that is all the time I have for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like the videos and subscribe for more, and we will see you all in the next Pokemon collection video.
Bye-bye.